Hi, good afternoon. Secretary Bautista, you said earlier that you talked about 15 or 16 infra flagship projects, and you also discussed some issues and concerns. So may we know ano po yung issues and concerns na yan?
As I mentioned earlier, no, we have many infrastructure flagship projects. No, the Department of Transportation is handling around 60, 69 infrastructure flagship projects out of 186, which was approved by the NEDA board. No, and out of this 69, there are major projects that need to be implemented as soon as possible. No? This includes the North-South Commuter Railway, the Metro Manila Subway Project, MRT-4, MRT-7, LRT Line 1 Extension, no? The new Cebu International Container Port, PNR South Long Haul, Mindanao Railway, Metro Manila, as I mentioned, Metro Manila Subway Project, no? And the new Dumaguete Airport development. No? But the major projects really are the rail projects. No? The North-South Commuter Railway, it's a 147-kilometer railway system that spans from Clark Airport to Calamba, Laguna. No? It started during the previous administration. No? We are now working to complete this so that we can have partial operations by end of 2028. So there are many issues, one of which is the acquisition of properties, no right of way. We call it a RAUSA, or a right of way acquisition. We have issues on also some funding. No? There are issues about relocation of ISF, relocation of utilities. No? There are issues about registration of properties. No? So these are being discussed, and we have presented to the cabinet our ways forward so that we will be able to implement all these projects before the end of the term of the president.
Sir, follow-up lang po. With some billions of pesos worth of items that the President vetoed in the 2025 budget, along with the upcoming election spending ban, so are we confident that this will not affect the delivery of our projects and we will hit our targets?
Well, as far as the Department of Transportation is concerned, we should be able to continue our projects. No, there were some reductions in our budget, but we should be able to fund this from the loan proceeds. No? We're happy that the government share of most of our infrastructure projects were not reduced. No? So we will continue to implement these programs. No? The ones that were reduced basically are the loan proceeds. But these are foreign assisted projects. But in spite of that not being included in the budget, no, we can still avail of the loans, no, so that we can fund these major projects like the Metro Manila Subway and the North-South Commuter Railway. No?
Jean Mangalus, philstar.com.
Good afternoon po. Sir, comparing the NEP to the GAA, the DOTR had a near 100 billion budget cut. How can you assure us that all of the projects will proceed on time?
As I mentioned earlier, no, the reduction was from the foreign assisted projects. The loan proceeds were not included in the budget, no, in the approved GAA, part of it. But as I mentioned earlier, we can still draw on the loan. No? We just need support from the Department of Budget and Management. No? And we have also discussed this with our development partners, no? And they will continue to provide the loans to DOTR. No?
So no effect po yung yung decision ng Congress?
Sa amin, it's a very minor effect. No?
Sir, nakita po namin na napunta rin sa unprogrammed funds yung iba sa mga assistance to foreign projects. What conditions need to be met so the DOTR can avail of them?
Well, for unprogrammed appropriation, there should be excess revenue, no, of government, no, and normally we can avail of this in the second quarter of the year, no.
Thank you. Alvin Baltasar, Radyo Pilipinas.
Secretary Bautista, good afternoon po. Secretary, malapit na yung election ban. Ilan yung mga projected projects natin na pwedeng matapos bago yung election ban?
Yung election ban natin is in a few days, no. You know, most of the projects of the Department of Transportation are to be implemented long term, no. So we will continue to implement the program, no. Siguro hindi naman kami mako-cover ng election ban because we have started all these projects already, no. So we don't think the election ban will affect the implementation of any of our projects in the OTR, no.
Just follow up lang doon sa sa budget. Kasi I believe that one of the agendas dito sa full cabinet meeting ay tungkol doon sa implementation of GAA. Ano ba yung meron bang directive si Presidente tungkol doon sa pagpapatupad ng GAA in particular? Good morning pa.
Ang gusto mong malaman kung may directive tungkol sa pagpapatupad sa...
Sa GAA natin. Since
Well, you remember that the President vetoed some items, oh? Made line item vetoes. Ang effect ng line item veto is just to reduce the potential deficit. Okay? We cannot transfer what we vetoed to other items. So, the important thing to remember is the President said maximize on what you can do for those that were approved, the program, and then the unprogrammed, maybe we could give prioritization there when the available funds will come. Does that answer your question? Or
thank you, yes.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Maricel Halili, TV5.
Magandang hapon po. ES clarification lang po dun sa budget. I understand nasa 288 billion po yung insertion ng BICAM po dun sa unprogrammed appropriations, 300% increase compared dun sa NEP. So bakit po nasa 26 bilang yung na-veto ni Presidente? Ano po yung logic nung natira dun sa 288?
As I recall, the President vetoed more than the 26 billion. There were 190 billion that were vetoed. Oo. Ang binito lang niya doon sa 26 yata was the sa DPWH. Okay. Ang basis for the veto is if this were not part of the NEP, yung original proposal, then they must have been insertions. That is the assumption. So, binito ko yan because they have no supporting documents or they were not part of the plan or the program of government. But there were other areas. Now, you put more emphasis on this. There were a lot of items that came under conditional implementation. Very significant yun. Kasi pag sinabi mong conditional, there is no, at this point, there is no certainty of them being implemented. It's like a veto, but it's not a veto. No? We will just wait for the proper time to consider them again when the funds are become available, and the President, through the recommendation of the Secretary of Budget, will consider that it is already timely to look at these items again. Yun ang condition generally. May guidelines that will be adopted like the ACAP, sinubject ni Presidente to the joint the guidelines to be jointly come up with by the NEDA, the DPW, DSW, and DBM. Oo. So that is more hindi naman veto. It will be inaccurate to consider that as a veto, but you look for the conditions and you will understand.
And sir, just a clarification, because the group of Shelo Magno is questioning yung under ng education sector budget. Bakit daw nakasama, even under dun sa education sector na budget, yung PNPA, yung PMA, which is kasama naman siya sa budget before ng PNP, ng AFP. So bakit isinama doon? Kasi pag hindi daw sila kasama, in effect, mas malaki pa rin yung budget ng DPWH compared sa education sector.
Alam nyo, yung language of the Constitution is not that specific, no? Na sinabi, education. You have to look at this with a more, with a broader understanding. If before the treatment was, ang budget ng education was only that allocated to DepEd, that was the wisdom at the time. But then, so many things have happened. Yung education responsibility has been shifted to other sector, to other government agencies. So, is it fair for everyone to claim na hindi mo dapat ibilang yan sa education sector dahil nandun sa PNP or nandun sa AFP? Hindi maganda yun. Okay? Now, this is more a matter of looking at the situation. DepEd is not the only agency in the education sector, but it has the greater portion of the education pie, the budget for the education sector. Of course, you will also consider TESDA. Hindi ba TESDA education yan? Okay? And then you have the SUCs. CHED. CHED, higher education yan. SUCs. Now, if you add up this one, including also PMA, PNPA, and other officers with primary responsibility for education in their particular areas, that could add up to a bigger budget or bigger slice of the budget for the education sector. So, with the veto na ginawa ni Presidente doon sa DPWH, mas malaki ang education. Na-comply yung Constitution doon.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ivan Mayrina, GMA 7.
Question for Secretary Uy. Sir, what can you tell us about the news report that the executive branch was allegedly hacked from 2023 up to middle of 2024 and military data was stolen?
Well, actually, we are constantly under attack from different sectors, from hackers, from scammers, whether these are persistent threat actors all over the years. And what we're looking at today is that we have detected a significant increase in many of the probing and attacks, especially as we come closer to the elections this coming May. What's happening is that there are more fake information or disinformation that are being perpetrated on social media. There are attempts at compromising certain infrastructure, like websites that are they're trying to deface some websites or try to introduce malicious software in all of these sites. We are repelling several 100,000 attempts on a daily basis. And this cuts across not just the executive branch, but it includes also, for instance, the legislative branch. No, sometimes itong mga websites ng mga kandidato na sa Congress or sa Senate, medyo binabanatan din. So this is how we're our department is addressing by making all the different sectors, not just the government sector but the private sector, be more aware of their cybersecurity preparedness, and at the same time advising them on how to harden their respective infrastructure or information systems. Quite often, we've detected that the vulnerabilities that were exploited were old systems, what we call the legacy systems. So, maaring there are some agencies in government that have not updated their respective software. So, doon napapasukan at doon na exploit in most occasions. The one, if ever there are any compromises, we've seen that the data are old data. Some of them are being reposted again. So example, na-hack nila nung 2020. So may nakuha silang mga information. Tapos, ipopost nila ulit ngayon at sasabihin, oh, may na-hack kami. But when you look at it, all that data are all, 4 years ago data, nothing of the current data. So we need to be more discriminating in entertaining some of these claims, no? Unless they show it. Marami nagki-claim na, nahack namin itong ahensya ng gobyerno, and then we pose the challenge to them. Okay, nahack nyo at meron kayo nakuha, pakita nyo. So we challenge them, okay, post it. What did you get? And either they do not post anything because they did not get anything. They just claim to have done so. Or if they post, we see that these are dated, old data. So that's how we're helping all the different sectors.
But Sec, I'd like to zero in on this this particular story. Ang title po niya, Chinese hackers target Philippine president and steal military data. Some stolen documents related to dispute over South China Sea. Can you confirm that such an attack happened?
Well, there are always attempts to do so, and in many instances, for attacks like those, we're able to detect them early on, and when we do so, we are able to secure the database, and we're able to secure the system so that it remains just an attempt and not be able to compromise some of the more sensitive data. In some instances, attacks occur on the public-facing sites. So example, we have help desks that are open to the public so that the public can regularly report, let's say, their concerns. So those open sites are really designed with minimal security because you want to allow the public to easily communicate with the different government agencies. So in most instances, yun ang unang tina-target ng mga hackers, and we detect it and we respond to it immediately. But as I said, if there are any claims that there were any successful extraction of any data, just show it. Show it. Then we will be able to see whether these claims are actually authentic or not. Other countries also experience the same thing, no? Attacks or claim attacks from different state actors or non-state actors, and claims that there have been breaches on the data. But I'd like to reiterate that so far, what we have seen is that no current information has been compromised. What we've seen so far are old data from many years ago that are being regurgitated or just to recycled just to make an impression that they were successful in doing so.
Sir, last from my end, how are we doing in this cat and mouse game with hackers and scammers? Kasi yun, napapansin natin for a while nanahimik pero nabuhay na naman ho ulit yung mga tech scam eh.
Yes. Actually, we're going after that. We are acquiring new systems and new equipment to do so because these scammers continually upgrade their game, no? And continually acquire new equipment. So, itong mga scammers dati, they have to depend on the telecoms network. So, they get into the telecoms network in order to do the scams. Now, they've acquired new devices where they do not even have to go into the network. Ang nangyayari niyan, kumbaga parang man in the middle. So when you open your cell phone, akala ng cellphone mo, kumokonek ka sa cell site ng telco. Yung palang kumokonek ka sa cell site ng hacker. Yung hacker may dalang equipment na nagpapanggap na cell site at doon pumapasok yung number mo. So nalalaman ngayon ng hacker, oh, etong number na ito active. All they have to do is just they park their car with those equipment. Marami na kami nahuli nun, no? We call it drive-by hacking. They load those equipment in the vehicles and they drive around. And then when they park it outside the building, they often park it outside malls. Lalo na nung Christmas, dahil marami nagsha-shopping, they park it outside these malls na maraming tao. And then they misdirect all the cell phones to think that it is a legitimate telco site. And then they capture all those numbers. Once they capture all those numbers, they now do a text blast to those numbers. And they can put anything on their, they can put a bank's name, a telco's name, a credit card's name on that text, making you believe that you actually are receiving a text from that. Dati kasi, yung mga numbers, yung mga letra na yan, the names, you need to be in the network. And the telcos will have to give you the right to put those names on the network to send those texts blasting. But now these new equipment are very modern and they can do that. So the deception is even more effective because of that. So what we're doing is, again, as you mentioned, it's a cat and mouse thing. When they're going around and we receive those texts, we have to deploy assets to go around also and try to find them where they are located and intercept them or and eventually capture them. Marami na tayong nahuling gano'n, no? Most of these equipment are actually smuggled in because they are illegal. They're illegal. But sometimes, so kasi, itong mga equipment, ginagamit rin ng mga politicians, especially during campaign season. Dahil gusto nila mag-text blast ng mga campaign nila. So those are the same type of equipment that are currently being used by the scammers or the hackers.
Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.